Hi. So I'm going to show you right quick where I'm at. That's Fast Eddie's 502 in Embassy Oaks, which is a quick little story in reference to what happened at that particular Fast Eddie's. So I had gone to a, what is it, a pool hall match over there. I was invited by a group of individuals that I had been invited to go there by. And so one of the individuals was named Cactus Jack, or also known as Jeffrey Kirkendall Jr. And so when I was there, the whole thing was going on as far as the pool hall and the pool tournament. And of course, the one time that I was invited to actually play was against the best team. All right. And so at least that's what I was told. I was told it was the best team. So I go and I've played pool before. I've knocked them around a few times. And I'm actually, before my head injury, I was really, really good at pool. After my head injury, on the other hand, well, I was lining the shots up. That was a little bit of a situation. So I basically am watching, because those who know how tournaments go, you have a team of 3 people, and I was waiting my turn. Irony of being at a stoplight right now. So I was sitting there, or standing there, and watching the tournament go on. And Cactus Jack, also known as Jeffrey Kirkendall Jr., he was playing one of the guys, and then his brother, Jeremy Kirkendall, was playing the other guy on that team. And inevitably, as the game went, the guy who was on the better team had basically scratched on the 8-ball. And he didn't scratch officially. He did hit the ball. However, he could have made the next shot, and then he would have actually gotten in. So instead, the guy lost his cool, picked up the cue ball, threw the cue ball across the table, and I look at the guy, and I said, "Oh, I guess you just forfeited." The guy looks at me and goes, "What? No, that's not forfeiting." I looked at him, I said, "Yeah, you completely destroyed the table. So because you destroyed the table, you forfeited the whole thing. You were about to win against him, and you would have actually had a really cool shot in winning, but you picked up the cue ball and threw it across the table." The guy gets in my face. He's, over 6 feet tall, and he's like, "Wow, wow, 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 wow." I just look up at him like, "Yeah, okay." Sure. Are you trying to... Oh, you're trying to scare me. Oh, no. You still forfeited the game, and you are not going to intimidate me. The guy looks at me, and he's, and I have my hairstyle as it is now. Back then, I didn't have the tattoos yet. But my hairstyle was what it is now, essentially. And so the guy, he's just, "Rah, rah, rah, you don't know anything about pool." Well, I know enough about pool that if you pick up the cue ball and throw it across the room, you messed up the game and you forfeited. So then, because he had nothing else to go on, he looks at my t-shirt that I was wearing, and I had a VW Bug. It had glitter, American flag painted in it. It was a convertible, which is irony in regards of later stuff. So he looks at my shirt, and he actually, tried to touch my shirt, which it was what it was. Nonetheless, he goes and, "You're wearing a hippie shirt." Well, those who know me Those who know me, the furthest from a hippie you could get. I don't think most hippies fight to be emancipated to join the Army branch of the United States of America's Armed Forces. I don't think that happens. My biological mother's sister was a hippie. I am the complete opposite in every possible way that could ever, just fully opposite in that regard. So I actually took offense because it was one of those, are you really going to be comparing me to my Aunt Chris? Oh no. Oh no, boy. And so I start lighting into this guy. Now, mind you, I am 5'4". This guy is over 6 feet. So I'm like, you better you better recognize it. I'm just da-da-da-da. And the guy's looking down at me and he's just like, you don't know anything. Boy, I know a bit more than you think I do. And so, we go back and forth and he stomps off. The adult thing to do. This big 6 foot something. I mean, he was cute. I don't deny that. He was a good looking guy. But he gets all mad and he gets all pouty and stomps off. And it's like, aww. Well, Cactus Jack and his brother then come over to me and they're like, are you okay? I look at him, I'm like, where the fuck were the two of you? It was a pool hall, so come on now. And so they look at me and they're like, well, he was scary. Let me understand this correctly. You are both males. Between the four of you got 4 balls, and I don't know if I could actually see any one from either one of you right now. Are you kidding me? You couldn't even freaking, are you So I was lit. I was very sober. I did not have any alcohol. Let me also clarify that, but I was lit. I was hot under the collar. So it was one of those, oh no you didn't. No, you didn't. So the guy comes back to where I'm at, and he has this older guy than him, and he goes, I want you to talk with someone. Okay. And he goes, this is so-and-so, and he was in the Air Force during Vietnam. Well, thank you for your service. I appreciate what you did. And I start talking with him. The guy gets all upset, and he goes, in the game of golf, when this happens in the game of golf, it's a courtesy to let, it not go too far. And I look at him and I'm like, does this look like golf to you? Does a pool hall look like golf to you? I'm fairly certain that a pool hall is called a pool hall because it's the game of pool and not the game of golf. You probably go to a golf course to play golf in comparison to a pool hall to play golf. It probably would be called a golf hall in comparison to a pool hall. I'm fairly certain. The guy gets all mad and you need to be respectful to this guy. And I look at him like, I was respectful to him. I said I appreciated his service. And mind you, the golf comment, that was also before he had stormed off. I do admit I forgot that point, but he did. He brought it back up again. The guy is sitting in the corner looking at this going on, and he's seeing the tall 6 foot something guy, rah 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 rah. He sees me, little 5'4" nothing, going dip 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 dip, having a grand old time. He's just And so then the guy that had thrown the cue ball, he goes, well, this guy has shrapnel, and this guy, and I look at him and I go, yeah. And I appreciate the fact that not only did he do what he did for the country, but that he survived. Why are you talking to me about what this guy did? Why doesn't this guy go and tell me what he did? Why do you feel the need to point it out when you were the one who screwed up in the pool ball thing? You threw the cue ball? I'm just saying. The guy gets mad at me and he's like, well, you should be more respectful to military guys. Boy, do you know who I am? And he looks at me and he goes, well, I know you're a little girl who's upset. What? Did you call me? Did you just call me a little girl? Did you just call me a little girl? And at that point, the guy that was brought over, he's like, I don't think you should call her a little girl. I think you upset her. Yeah, and I look at the guy and go, yeah, he upset me more by calling me a little girl than he did by calling me a freaking hippie. And he looks at me and goes, what is hippie about you? I don't know. But I don't know how you could consider me a hippie. I kind of am a little bit different. So the guy that was brought over, he asked, well, what have you done? And I'm like, well, I'm medically retired from the Army. So then the guy who threw the cue ball looks down at me and he goes, you're what? Yeah, you're going to throw another little temper tantrum? You still forfeited the match. Which he did then throw another temper tantrum because he started stomping his feet and, how dare you bring up that, and da-da-da-da. It's like, well, you were the one who threw the cue ball. If you didn't want to, whatever, you shouldn't have thrown the cue ball. So he got all mad, and the one from Vietnam had to calm the one who threw the cue ball down. It was a very interesting situation. Well, I go back over to where the tournament was going on as far as the team that I was in at the time. And I wasn't officially in the tournament. It was just I was a ringer, I guess is what it is at the time. So then time goes on. The guy who threw the cue ball stomps back over to the tables, has one of the referees. She's very, very pretty, by the way. She comes over and she's like, I guess I need to speak with you. I look at her and go, did I do something wrong? And she said, well, we need to go to the kitchen to discuss this. Okay. So I go with her to the kitchen with the guy who threw the cue ball. And she asks me, what happened? I said, which part are you talking about and which part are you wanting to know about? Because I'm a bit confused at this point. So she said, I want to know about the game. And I was like, oh, well, he was playing this guy and this, he missed his shot. He was going to get it in the next shot, but because he missed his shot that time, he got all mad, threw a temper tantrum, picked up the cue ball and threw it across the table, and then it bounced off the table and went and rolled along the floor. And, I told him that he forfeited the game. And the female goes, well, yeah, that's how that goes. I was like, okay, so why am I here? Why do I have to clarify this? She goes and looks at the guy who threw the cue ball, and he's all grrr, all mad and all pouty, just so mean. He had that grrr face on, just so. And so she looks at him and she goes, you forfeited the match because you threw the cue ball across the table. You messed up the table. She tells him verbatim a bunch of the stuff that I had said. And he looks at her and he goes, but that's not fair because I'm a better blah, blah, blah. And I look at him, I go, well, then don't throw the cue ball across the table. That's how that goes. He apparently did not like my attitude, which I was very kind compared to what I could have said. No, there are those who know how I can get. And so, I was very, 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 very kind, comparatively. And so he goes on and, temper tantrum, wham, wham, big, tall Air Force guy stomping around, and it's like, okay, you know, just throw this out there. You better be glad you're not in uniform. Because if you're in uniform doing that, you know, depending on your rank. Oh, you hippie? How is that a hippie? Just saying. Anyway, so fast forward through the night, get ready to go, and guy that threw the cue ball sees me walk past him, and he yells out, "Bitch!" And I look back, I'm like, well, thank you for recognizing that I was born in the year of the dog. You have a good night. He just, wait, what? And well, a couple weeks later, go back to because it was a weekly tournament thing. And so I go back, and the guy is there. I'm just, honestly, at that point, you know, a couple weeks had gone by. I didn't remember what he looked like to begin with. It was just one of those, okay, you know, I do have the after effects of my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. So unless you actually give me a point of reference for me to be able to remember, it's not to be rude, it's just my issues after, you know, having my head slammed into the metal part of a bunk during basic training. Excuse me. Apologize for that. I didn't throw myself into the metal part of the bunk, the drill sergeant did. However, you know, I got some memory issues and some cognitive disorders, you know. Sorry about that. Anyway, so he, you know, comes over a few times, and he starts doing this, you know, anytime I go to take a shot, he starts being a child. Whatever, fine. Well, if you go and do that to me, that means I could do that to you, right? Right? You start something with me, that means I can, because you know, if you start it, that means I can turn around and respond, right? That's how that goes. And so he looks, you know, as he's doing his little shot, and I walk up right behind him. Doesn't notice me. Go around the other side of the table. And he's lining up his shot, and I see it, and I'm like, oh, you could make this one. But I know how to throw my voice. You know how to throw a cue ball? I know how to throw my voice. So I'm standing right, you know, in front of the area that he's essentially about to take a shot. And I go, woo! But the voice comes around, you know, kind of whips around and comes up behind him and completely messes up the shot. And he wasn't, and in my defense, it wasn't a tournament match. It was just the night of the tournament, so it wasn't like it actually counted. But it was just one of those, he jumps up and, you know, and I just, hi. How are you? I bet a hippie couldn't do that. And so I can be a little bit ornery at times. So, you know, don't start it. I know that sounds childish, but don't start something. If you can't finish it, don't start it. Nonetheless, he had a little bit of an attitude, and every now and then I'd just look over and see it. It's just like, oh, the game of golf, right? Oh, wait, no, this is a pool hall. Never mind. We're not outside. It's not mini putt-putt. Although I guess in some ways it'd be a kind of opposite mini putt-putt, right? As far as pool. You got an equivalent of AstroTurf as, you know, mini putt-putt has. It's usually got a covering over it as far as some mini putt-putt places. Only difference is the balls are bigger. So you have a good one, and guess it kind of did take some balls to stand up to that guy, because apparently he was some big to-do or something another around I guess I could turn around and say, well, you know, yeah, that was cool to meet your friend who was in Vietnam. And then there's my Medal of Honor art project. Not being mean, just pointing that out as far as like that guy being the way he was. He was just, oh, okay. I could be ornery. I'm in an ornery mood. I acknowledge that. I kind of am. You guys have a good one.